Welcome to Take Care with Kaitlyn Kelly, the podcast where we advocate for creatives and non-creatives in helping them elevate to the highest versions of themselves through embracing self-care, personal growth, and finding balance in today's fast-paced world. I'm your host, Kaitlyn Kelly. Have you ever found yourself at a crossroads contemplating a pivot, whether sparked by a new idea, a shift in preference, or a new career? These moments of change shape our journeys, and today we are joined by a remarkable individual who is the embodiment of pivoting with a purpose and on purpose. He's a South Central LA native who went after his dreams by pursuing his first love, baseball. He was ranked among the top 50 players in the entire state of California by his senior year of high school, and by the end of his college career, he would go on to be signed to his first professional contract with the Pioneer League, a partner league of Major League Baseball. Recently, he's since retired from baseball to pursue a new purpose, a career in acting and modeling. Please welcome to the show, Charles Grant DeBose.
Hey.
Welcome. Hi, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it, and also just so happy that we cross paths. It's so cool to see people pivoting. It's so cool to see people pivoting, and for the listeners, like my friend, shout out to Vicky. Vicky, she had recommended you because this is like something I talk about, on a daily basis, something that I'm always talking about and always looking to be inspired. So when she told me, she was like, girl, you gotta hit this guy up, because he went from, doing professional baseball to now pursuing acting and modeling. So it's so cool. So shout out to you. And I'm proud of you for just taking that step, because you did something that, most people don't even realize until later on they want to do. Briefly, before we get into that, because I like to start off with a question how are you doing? How are you doing today?
Well, Kaitlyn, first, thank you for allowing me to come over and join you on your show. It's an honor and it's a blessing to be here. Today, I am feeling blessed. My eyes are open, so that means today is going to be a brand new 24 for me to get my life going.
Amen.
So that's how I'm feeling today. I'm feeling blessed.
Good. Cool. And then the second question I like to ask people, how are you really doing? Is there anything maybe that you want to share, recently that's been happening? How are you really doing? Not necessarily just today, but just, in general.
I would say definitely ever since I retired from professional sports, it's been a learning curve for me. I've had my ups and downs. Sometimes I lose my motivation. Sometimes I find other ways to get back into it. So I'd say I've definitely been working on growing that motivation, just getting closer to God and building my faith even more, especially in this time, because it's a big transition, going from professional sports to learning now new careers in the entertainment business. So I would definitely say it's been a little rocky, but like I said, I'm blessed. My Lord has me. So
I love that. Yeah, it's whenever you decide to pivot, whether it is a career choice or anything else, it really can be, uncomfortable. And especially if you are used to a certain routine, right? If you're used to a certain routine and now it's you're switching from one thing to another, it's oh, this is so different from what from what I'm used to. How do I adapt? So how long did you play professional baseball, Charles?
so I played for 3 years. I
Okay.
played from 2021 to the middle half of 2023.
Okay. And when did you feel like there was a moment? When was the moment that you decided that it was time for you to pivot?
Honestly, it was kind of brewing within the entire last season. I would
Mm,
that when I would wake up, I wasn't as fully excited as I used to be to go to the field. It
mm,
became a little more of a drag to me, and the pressure. I was having moments where I was being nervous, and I'm hardly ever been a super nervous person. So there was moments
yeah.
where just I can feel myself in the game, my heart's beating, and I don't know how to slow it down. And then that's just kind of let me know that this game was becoming less of something that was fun to me. And I always told myself that when the game wasn't fun to me anymore, it was time for me to let it go. So I actually was released in July, and that was kind of the turning point for me, kind of let me know, hey, maybe it's time to pivot and make this transition. So I prayed about it, and like I said, it was already weighing on my spirit. And so once certain actions happened, and God just kind of showed me the direction that He wanted me to follow.
I love that. I really do. Like, you know, we had talked about briefly last week because you said that, and I wish actually, because we were like exchanging voice notes, I was like, oh my gosh, this is so good. Like, I wish we were recording right now. But you had said something that was so interesting that I would love for you to expand on now, as we're recording. But like, you had mentioned that um baseball was like you chasing your childhood dream, and now you going to pursuing this career in the entertainment industry is now like your adulthood dream. So like, as a child, like, how long had that been? Like, was that kind of like all your childhood life, like, oh my gosh, I want to play sports, I want to play baseball? Had acting or the entertainment industry ever become a thought, as a child?
So honestly, it did for a little bit. I
Uh-huh.
do remember when I was younger. I'll never forget the day my mom and I were in, like, I think it was Target, and we
Mm-hmm.
got into an argument. And I remember the casting director from Sweet Life of Zack and Cody handed my mom a card and was like, "Hey, I want you to, like, you and your son to kind of come to this little audition or whatever." And my mom and I thought it was fake, so we never really took, like, the warning to her, or took action on it. And come to find out, a couple months later, a year later, that show is one of the biggest shows for our childhood. So, but it kind of went over
Wow.
my head, it went over my head a little bit, to where I was just like, okay, that's just one thing, because sports had always been in my life. I've been playing sports since I was 8 years old. I ended up Basketball is my number one love. I always wanted to play basketball. Now I didn't get granted with the height factor, so that was a little bit off, not on my side. But I was playing basketball and baseball all my life, and just from the age of 8 and on, I just knew I was going to play professional sports. Like, even when people would ask me, I had no other career path. I said I'm going to be a professional athlete. So I never really thought about tapping into my creative side. I just knew poetry was something I really loved, music. I've always loved music, but I never in my life thought I was become or chase that dream of becoming an actor now. So it definitely transpired as I got older.
I love that. And first of all, not you talking about the sweet life of Zach and Cody, bruh. That is my show, or was my show. I can still say that. I mean, it's still on Disney Plus. I can go watch it anytime.
For
But
sure.
no, that man, oh wow. Like, as children, it's so interesting because we always have. I feel like, I don't know about like for you, but like for me as a child, like, for example, kind of like how you feel about sports, me pursuing directing and writing, like, that was my childhood dream. Now, I low key wanted to be an actress when I was little. I really, like, if they would have approached me about being on Sweet Life of Zack Cody, I would be like, "Ma, we got to do it." Like wait, like, I wanted to be like on Disney Channel doing like, "Hi, I'm Kaitlyn Kelly, and you're watching Disney Channel." Like, dun dun dun. Like, I knew, I was like, nah, like, I want to do this. But also there wasn't like, I come from a really small town because I'm from Georgia, and I'm from South Georgia, so it's like it really wasn't like a lot of like opportunities, a lot of space to like pursue that. And so um I feel like, when I now looking back, because like I'm out here now, I'm out here in LA, and I always wanted to be out here since I was little. And I'm looking back now, and I'm like, because just for like the listeners, so the listeners can know, because I haven't like necessarily like spoke about this publicly, but Charles and I are in acting class together, and I never really considered acting for real. I was just like, oh, I really just wanted to get on Disney Channel and be a child actor. Like, that's what I wanted to be. But now looking back, it's like, oh my gosh, like, that was like kind of on my heart then, and it's like all coming to fruition. So I love that, like, you you did pursue sports, what I mean, like, you still pursued sports, and also like, you pursuing sports and you having that desire to, it led you up until this point, it led
Mhm.
you up to pursue, something else that, God has called you to do. So I'm so proud of you for doing that. Really. Like, I know I keep saying that, but like it really is like it takes people a long time to figure that out.
Yes.
You know, it takes people a long time to figure that out. What are some things like that maybe you have noticed that's different from um your career in sports, because obviously now there's a different routine, right?
Right.
So like what does taking care of Charles look like, and how is it different from your routine as an athlete and now on your journey as an actor and a model and everything?
I can definitely say the days are a lot different. I remember as an athlete, waking up at 4:30 in the morning, eating, going on a run, getting ready to hit the gym, and doing things like that was my daily. I was on the field for 3, 4, 5 hours. Now with the transition, as being a working actor, I had to get a job, and now I have to plan around, make sure I have money to pay for certain things, because a lot of people don't tell you when you jump into this career, there's a lot of pay to play at the beginning. You know,
Mm-hmm.
you have to pay for photo shoots, you have to pay for headshots, you have to pay for this, you have to pay for that. And so if you don't have the income to supplement that, then you're kind of going to fall behind the spectrum. So like my dailies, I usually try to wake up around 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning. I do meditation, I read, I eat breakfast and stuff like that. And then when it comes to working out, now my workout routine is a little different. I'm not training to go play 96 games in a season and throw 100 miles an hour or anything like that. Now I'm training to make sure I look good and feel good for my own mental health and my own physical health, because at this point it's more so about how do I look and feel. I don't have someone
Yeah.
on my neck tell me, hey, you need to put on 20 pounds so we can get you better for next season and stuff like that. Now it's kind of like, hey, this is on you. Um,
Yeah.
that's one of the biggest transitions too, is I'm not in that environment anymore of competitiveness when it comes to weight room and play styles and stuff like that. But one thing I do love is I'm in the competitive space now when it comes to acting, when it comes to modeling. It's like, hey, like I can do this scene a little better, let me show you, or it's like, hey, let me show you how to walk this runway a little better, let me show you how to pose a little better. So now it's kind of like I was explaining to one of my friends, I'm transitioning that mindset of competitiveness from sports to not fully being competitive with my fellow actors or models, but being more like, okay, like I seen how you did that, let me try to do this a little better, and then we can bounce
Right.
off each other. So that's kind of how things have been transitioning for me. I'm been working on using the mentality that I've carried and the discipline I've carried over the 20 plus years that I played sports to now bring it into the entertainment business.
I love that. I love that. And you know, I love that you are, because it seems like you're always kind of like in a constant state of like bettering yourself. And this is like what this podcast is all about. Like, we advocate for elevating to the highest versions of ourselves. So I love that even though like this component of sports is taken away, like you're still kind of like keeping up that similar like routine, but also, like the outlook is different, the perspective is different. I'm not training because somebody else is telling me to or whatever. I'm doing it for me, and I love that you are doing that for you. And even like in acting class, because I really hate I didn't get to see your Love Jones scene. So so y'all, Charles had in class, our instructor assigned him a scene from Love Jones, which is one of my favorite movies also. So I hate I didn't get to see that, but like the few times I have seen you perform in class, you get better and better. So I love that you're always, you're not like complacent. You're not complacent, you're not like settling. And that's really how we grow, right? Like that's really how we grow, and that's really how we elevate and we advance, to really just being the best versions of ourselves. What were you actually like the most surprised about when you first started taking acting classes and you started seeing the process and all that stuff?
I would say how fast Greg wanted me to get out of my comfort zone.
Oh
So
yeah.
that was one of the most surprising things to me, because So I'm always been a very mellow, kind of soft. Not I wouldn't say fully soft spoken because when I do need to become very boisterous, I am. But I've always been just, I like to be very personal. So I don't believe that I need to yell all the time and do things like that. So um, one the first few things Greg had me doing in class was using my voice, and that was very uncomfortable for me a little bit because, like I said, I don't like to yell. So even I come from a family where like my grandfather, he's very low tone, spoke like he speaks at a low tone. So if you don't hear him, that's your fault. I'm the same way. So that was probably one of the things. And then, becoming very vulnerable. I've never been really a very vulnerable person like that. And so being able to just come out and perform my own poem and things like that. So that was one of the things that surprised me the most is how fast Greg got me out of my comfort zone.
Yeah. Yeah. Getting out of your comfort zone, man, like that is, it's something that's so necessary, but you definitely can't do it alone.
Mm-hmm.
You definitely can't get out of your comfort zone alone. You definitely need those people and those professionals to, help you with that because, you know, the fact that, we are showing up to class, like we don't know what, like we don't know what we're doing, like we don't know. And, we don't necessarily know or some of the things that like we feel. Sometimes it's like when we step outside of our comfort zone, once we get deeper and deeper, it's like, wait, hold up, like I already took the step to start taking the class, like now you want me to go deeper and deeper. Like wait, like this too much. But it's so necessary for our growth. And one of the things that I say, and for me personally, I feel like I'm really at a point where I don't I'm like allergic to people who don't want to grow. I
Mm-hmm.
cannot, like I can't have a conversation. I can't have an interaction with anybody that is not willing to grow in some capacity. It don't even have to be like the arts. It doesn't have to be an art form, but like what are you doing to make sure that like your health is better? Or you trying to make sure your finances are better, or, whatever it is. So, I love that Greg is, an advocate for getting us out of our comfort zones for sure. Um, I definitely think that, you know, whenever we do get out of our comfort zones, we definitely um like we don't regret it like afterwards. We never regret it. It's only for our benefit. And you know, it only just makes us better. And part of what I love about um because I'm in acting, I can't necessarily say if I'm in the acting classes to become an actor, an actress. Like I can't say if that's my end goal right now, but as a director, it's definitely helping me and to see how he how he talks to the actors and how with each take, like, they're like the performances are getting better. So I love seeing that. Did you ever deny your calling or passion for acting at all?
Um, Honestly, no.
Mm-hmm.
Reason being, so I started this acting journey in 2021.
Mm-hmm.
At my rookie season, I was brought onto All American Homecoming as a like kind of like a stunt double or like a special edition extra. So I would do
Mm-hmm.
all the baseball scenes and a lot of things for as far as the stunts on the show. And honestly, the moment that I stepped on the set, it felt like I belonged here. It felt the same.
Yeah.
It felt the same way that I did my very first time stepping on a professional mound or walking in the locker room. It was like, I've always supposed to be here. So that's what it felt like. And like ever since that moment, I was just like, I want to learn more. I want to get more into it. People tell me all the time, hey, that love is going to kind of fall off a little bit just because, you may love these 17, 15, 13 work hour days, but give it some time. And honestly, people used to tell me the same thing about baseball. I was the kid that was at practice early. I was the first one to show up, the last one to leave.
Yeah.
So I feel that same way about acting and like modeling. I don't think I would ever fall out of love with it. But then again, like I said too, when we all grow up. So this may be my adult dream as of now, and who knows, I may do the same thing I did with baseball, chase it as far as I can, and find a new passion. But to answer your question, no, once I figured out this is something I wanted to do, I never denied it.
Yeah. I love that. What do you what when you were, you know, making this transition, did you have any like key people, or do you, I would say, like, have like any key people now and then when you were making the transition that kind of like inspired you to do that, or somebody who just like motivated you? Because when we pivot, sometimes like it's sometimes people aren't necessarily like supportive, because sometimes people can be like, okay, like, wait, like, you was just doing this, now you want to do this, or like, what's going on? They may not understand. And it's like a quote that I saw like on social media that was like, um everybody won't understand your calling because it wasn't a conference call. Whoever made that, they snapped. That was fire. That was fire. I'm like, oh, it wasn't a conference call. But was there anybody in your life that you feel like you really leaned on for support during that time?
Honestly, there was a lot, and I've curated my circle to where if you aren't on the same wavelength, or if you do not believe in me and I don't believe in you, then we don't need to be around each other.
Mm-hmm.
But to name a few names that definitely that's been helping me a lot. Jimmy's one of the big ones. Jimmy, and
Yeah.
we've been locked in since we met. Another one would be my boy Thomas. Thomas is one of his good friends, did the same thing I did, played professional sports and transition. And Thomas has been a big help in getting me to understand the business more. Thomas helps me, see how to book gigs, how to do sub tapes, how to do this. Thomas is constantly in my ears. He's like my big brother. Another one would be my boy Malik. Malik actually was a professional quarterback, transitioned into acting and modeling, and Malik actually is the one that helped me find my agency for commercials and stuff. And that dude's on set almost every other day, and he, is showing me the ways of how transitioning from sports to the entertainment business, the ups and downs, the ins and outs. And so I lean on them a lot. And then outside of the business, I have people like my boy Lejean. I have my boy Ike, my boy Josh. I have my circle. I have my sister Charlie. I have people that are very supportive in any decision I make. Obviously I have my family, my mom. My mom's one of my biggest supporters. I told my mom that I was done with sports, and she was just like, "Hey, whatever path you go down, I got you. I'm there for you. I'm with you." And that really meant a lot, because she pushed me through baseball, and now any and everything I want to do, she still has my back. And that, so building that circle, really has helped me a lot in this transition. Because, like I said, it's hard. I've been playing sports since I was 8 years old.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to just walk away from something that I've always known. And that's why it's also kind of like I'm building a new identity. So it's very hard to do that when you don't have a circle that can allow you to build that way. I always tell people that you need to make sure who you open up to have the same views as you, are willing to hear you, because whatever is in their windshield is now in your rearview mirror. So anything that you've seen, you've already worked on and built it, and you already moved past it. And now that you're telling them, it's in their windshield. So they have all their thoughts and their negatives and this and that. So you got to be really careful to pay attention to what kind of perspectives are come your way when you have the people around you.
Woo! That was a word. That was a word. No, for real. Like, and what I love about what you said was, you feel like you have a new identity, and I feel like I can relate to that, not even just, you know, person or taking these acting classes, but like, since I moved out here, I'm like a totally different person from a year ago, a month ago, a
Mhm.
week ago, yesterday. I'm not even joking, because it's like, when we have this new identity, or when we're discovering new things, we're not the same. When we're willing to grow, when we have that emotional intelligence, and that desire to want more. And not only that, but when we have a circle of people around us who just pour into us, and people who are willing to not just support that dream, but to also, like, maybe bring other people along, like, hey, my boy Charles, like, he doing this thing, like, he doing this LA Fashion Week, like, go get a ticket, you want to support my boy, whatever, like, it's just so good to have that community, because if you don't, it can be a really lonely journey. And like, this, not even just with a career, but like in life, because this whole life is a journey, right? So like this whole life is a journey. So I'm so glad that you were able to, and that you do have that support system. It's so beautiful to see, and I know that your circle is proud of you. Um, I know that you had mentioned that, you are also like an advocate for mental health. So, you know, I feel like today there's so many, really a lot of tools available for us, that our parents or grandparents didn't have when it came to mental health. But, you shared that even as a young child, like at the early age of 9, that you wanted to like open up your own mental health clinic and bring awareness to mental health, especially in lower income communities. And also you have a degree in psychology. So what was your experience growing up on how you came to want to pursue that vision or become an advocate, and what are some of your plans to kind of like help bring mental health awareness to the forefront?
So when it came to mental health, it
Mm-hmm.
was something that sparked my interest very early. Like you said, at the age of 9, I used to always watch like CSI and Criminal Minds and all that kind of stuff with my mom, and I used to ask her this question like, why do people do this? Why are they acting like this? What is this? What is that? And my mom was just like, that's just sometimes how people are, or they have things that are wrong with them, da 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 da. And I used to be like, so like, how can I learn about it?
Mm.
She told me, psychology is the way to go. If you really want to learn, like go be a psychologist. Like, it's kind of being funny at the beginning, but I really took heed to that, and it became a passion of mine. And what a lot of people don't realize, especially when you grow up in the inner cities, that a lot of people go through things or to have disabilities or have mental, problems that aren't talked about.
Mm-hmm.
Especially in my community, we don't really talk about a lot of the things that people go through. It's kind of always like toughen up, or we kind of tough through it, and we figure out other ways to get through it. So for me, growing up in that environment, and then allowing myself to understand that there are ways to become better, there are ways to help, and
Right.
seeing my people go through certain things was just like, I want to help them. And so
Yeah.
as of now, I've been taking strides as far as building a brand. I currently have my own brand, and it's to promote mental health, and it's to promote wellness and all ways of life. It's called Mob, Master, Own, and Believe. Bring a more positive acronym to the word, MLB. And so it stands for, like I said, Master, Own, Believe, and those are the 3 components to becoming successful. And success is whatever you make it when I say that. So success could be building a healthier routine, building a better meditation program, building, actual wealth, anything that you can find success in. And when I say that, master on believe, master is the first step. You find a skill, you learn it, you understand it, and you master it. Then the next step is you have to make it your own, because someone's probably already done it, and
Mm-hmm.
or someone has more insight on it. So now you have to figure out what makes you tick. Like, who am I? How can this be attributed to me? And then the last step is just to believe it. And I came up with that brand over during in 2020. It was a long time running. I always said I wanted to have a brand to promote something. And so how it came to fruition was 2020 allowed me to really sit down and understand where my mind was, because I dealt with my own mental things throughout college. I moved from South Central LA to Kentucky and Kansas, and I was bouncing around. I was away from my family for almost 7 years. And so I had my own things I was going through. And then COVID allowed me to sit down and
Mm-hmm.
really learn and journal and understand who I am and what was going on with me. And I'll never forget, I was drawing on my map and writing all these different names for the brand. And the only words that stuck out were in the middle of my paper. I usually do, when I made my brand, I was making circles of different brand names. And literally across the direct middle was 3 words that said master, own, believe in red letters. And I said, there it goes right there. And from
Wow.
that point on, I kind of just ran with it. And I've been reaching out to people. It's just like recently I went back to Kentucky, where my alma mater visit, and it was refreshing to see that even some of my friends that were there as freshmen now are following in my footsteps, doing the same thing. Like, for example, this hoodie I'm wearing, my friend Chris, this is his brand. It's called No Cameras Apparel, right? And it's to promote more um, being more present. Being present. No cameras allowed. Like we don't want cameras. We don't want phones. Like be present in the moment. And seeing that is how I'm growing the advocacy for mental health is talking to people, mentoring younger, especially younger Black men, showing them ways to get out. And then because my goal is to build a community to where now we can network and connect as a people, so that's one way right now I'm stepping into it. And then even when I was playing sports, I used my voice as an athlete to speak out on certain things, and now I hope to do the same thing with acting and being able to now especially bring a light to certain characters, and and giving people who look like me, who look like us, being a powerful moment. Because I remember watching TV and watching movies and seeing people that look like me and inspiring me to be better when I was going through my lows, and hearing them talk about the same thing. So that's my steps I'm going through right now.
I love that. No, I really do. Like it's really needed. And the fact that you are, actively taking steps toward that speaks volumes. And, it's something, especially like in the Black community, it's just not talked about. And it's not it's not really taken heed to. And I feel like, that's how people break generational curses right there. Like that's how people break generational curses. They break a cycle. And a generational curse doesn't have to necessarily mean like, okay, like something traumatic. Like I don't know if someone's family like has done like cocaine all their life. Like that doesn't mean that, but like how do we communicate better? How can I not, how can I just bring this thing to the forefront? Because at this point now in 2024, we have so many resources. We have so many resources where it's like, I don't want to say it's like not an excuse, because we have to have that willingness first to even want to do better. But, just that alone is the challenge. Deciding that we want to do better, deciding that we want to take care of our mental health. And what you said about being present, I'm definitely trying to get more present. I'm trying to focus on, being more present throughout my day. And one thing that we do in class, right, is the present exercise, where we close our eyes, like we breathe in and we breathe out, and then we look over around the room and we just notice, we focus, we have our focus on one thing. That chair is Black, that blanket is blue, whatever, so I love that. And being present can also help us think more clearly, not out here making irrational decisions. But no, I love that. And what you said about like mentoring young men, it's so needed, especially if people, like people come from all different types of backgrounds, right? And everyone might not always have a father figure or anyone that believes in them. But by you doing this, by you wanting to do this, like I know that it's going to help so many young men. And I'm an only child, but I think of like when you just said that, like I think of my father, because my father he didn't have like a relationship with his father and everything. And so, like that alone inspired my dad to be the dad that he is, and to inspire young people, inspire young men. So when you said that, you just reminded me of my dad, because like he's always like talking about that. But it's so crucial and so important. But aside from kind of like mental health for a second, one thing that came to mind about like your journey and your story, I don't know if you've seen The Last Dance, the Michael Jordan documentary. You saw it? Yeah. So I'm not like a huge sports person, but that documentary really inspired me, and I reference it in other episodes throughout the podcast because it's just so good. Like it's just so good, so inspiring. But it made me think about Michael Jordan's pivot to baseball. And I didn't even know that. So but yeah, your journey had just made me think about that. And but like Michael Jordan's journey, like, his was more so like in a public eye and everything. So, but again, kudos to you for taking that step. Charles, is there anything that you would like to, if you could tell young Charles anything, what would you tell young Charles?
Um, Patience. That would be one of the biggest things I would tell him. And also to not be as stubborn as I was. I was in younger me, I was very stubborn in certain things. I was very stuck in my ways. I still am a little bit to this day, but not as much as I was as a child. Reason being, there were a lot of things that a lot of people tried to teach me or show me or direct me in. And I was so headstrong on where I wanted to go and what I needed to do that I would use I wouldn't be patient about it. So I was always, I was like, I need it. And then I also would be very stubborn. So sometimes my stubbornness would get to me, I know, like, for example, school was a big thing for me. Not to sound like I'm boasting or anything, but school has never been a problem for me. But
Mm-hmm.
I'm a problem for me because, like, I didn't want to get compared to my older sister, who was a phenomenal student. It was very much so like, if Brittany got a B, she locked herself in a room. And when you have someone like that who you're growing up after, it's kind of like, okay, you see the way your sister is, like, get your stuff together. And so I would be stubborn and I would wait last minute to turn in homework or projects and to prove that, like, I'm not her, but I can be just as good as her. It would be things like I would turn into a competition because I wanted to be stubborn, because I wanted to defy the fact, I wanted to be my own person so bad that I messed myself up. I lost a lot of college offers as a kid because I didn't have the grades.
Mm.
That was my own fault. I would do the assignment and then have it in my backpack. Like, what are we doing? Just turn it in. Like, but I would just be like, nah, I didn't do it. Or I would wait last minute, turn the project in late, and about, like, if you would turn this in on time, you'd have got an A. And I'm like, that's all right. I was that kid, and it was just kind of like, I wish I can go back in time and tell myself, like, hey, like, lock in, listen to what a lot of people are trying to coach you through. You know, take heed of the warnings, be patient. Your time is going to come. Um, but just understand that there's a path for you, especially that God has already set forth through you. And one thing my mom always said is one thing is, God has a plan for you. God has a path for you. You can no one take it away what God has planned for you. And she's been telling me that since I was a child. And I would tell myself that every single day again to remind myself to be patient. Don't be stubborn. Take heed of the warnings. Listen, and you will get further in life than what you expect.
I love that. That's great. Patience is definitely a virtue. um, Question, because this just popped up. This just was something I had been thinking about that I've been meaning to ask. How has your because I know you had talked about like your background in psychology. How do you feel that your degree in psychology has kind of like contributed to your techniques as an actor?
Honestly, it's contributed a lot because for certain things like the scene we did where I had to do the Michael B. Jordan scene from Fruitvale Station in class. I've never been in jail. I've never had issues like that. I've never had problems. But one thing I did learn is the idea of empathy, right? And the like an idea of mimicking, because throughout my learning through my techniques of how to be like behavioral therapist and stuff like that, we learn certain techniques to deal with situations or patients that are going through certain things like that. And so when it comes to looking at my degree, I use feels like that. Like, I'm also certified in mental health first aid. So
Come on, certified mental health first aid. Come
so
on. Sorry, I
I
didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you're fine. But I took a course on that and learned how to read people's body languages and learn how to, tell someone's having a heart attack or someone's going through certain things and so it's having those certifications and that knowledge from the books allows me to be like, okay, this character has little ticks here, this character does this. So it's allows me to look at it as if I was diagnosing them and then becoming.
Mm,
So yeah.
I love that. Yeah, psychology, I feel like it's something that I actually wanted to, I guess I've been contemplating, because I've already been to school twice. Like I've pretty much been in school my whole life. And like you said, like school has never been a problem. Like school has never been a problem for me. Like, so I went to I got my undergrad degree in communications and then my master's degree in film. But one thing that I wish, either somewhere in between there, I'm like, dang, I wish I would have like really tapped into that like psychology, because whether you want to be an actor, an actress, or director, writer, whatever, it can really be, it can really be applied, anywhere, because it's so good to understand people. And I feel like, like you said about, that's really interesting perspective about what you said about with the character, um and kind of like diagnosing them and becoming them. How have you felt about really becoming a character, like putting on, what's the character name, Michael B. Jordan's character from Fruitvale Station? I forgot.
Oscar.
Oscar, like really putting on Oscar, like you got to put him on for real, so like not even just with that role, but like just any other scenes maybe in class, like how has it felt for you? Like what are some other things that you do to like really get into character? And I'm more so asking like so the listeners can know if they're like actors, but also for me, because I'm like, what do you do? Because I'm struggling too. So yeah, if you would like to share.
No, for sure. One thing I do try to also do is assimilate something from my life that can be a contributor. So, like as a kid, I used to fight a lot. I'll be honest, I was a fighter when I was younger. So I do remember those times where I was sitting in the office and my mom had to come see me. Now, like I said, I've never been to jail, but the scene I had to do, he was in jail and his mom came to see him. And I do remember having points where I was in the principal's office, the person who I just fought walked past me and my mom. And so it's like using things that kind of are can match what the scene is, using things like just like the scene we're doing now for Love Jones. Like I have conversations with my boys all the time. Like a lot of my friends are in long committed relationships, and I've been one of those dudes who I'm a lover boy, I'm a hopeless romantic, and I've always wanted love and do things like that. And so even like the scene right now with Darius, learning him and understanding that, it's like I had this conversation all the time. I ask my friends if they really think they're with the person they're supposed to be with. I
Mm-hmm.
ask, to give me more details and tell me certain things. And then they always ask me, like, oh, you asking this question because somebody you must be liking somebody. Because you don't
Mm-hmm.
ask the question until you getting your in your feelings or something like
Mm-hmm.
that. So it's like, finding ways to match what I've already done in life and what this character is doing, and then and finding ways to blend it together all in one. So that's something I've been doing, especially early on, and obviously, as I grow in the game in the industry, I'm gonna learn more techniques, I'm gonna build more habits to do things like that. But one of the biggest things I've been doing lately has been finding things in my life that matches what the character's going through.
Yeah, I love that. I I feel like honestly, that has been like a huge challenge for me to become like for example, we have this monologue, the lawyer monologue. Man, like it's I'm like, dang, so I really gotta be Viola Davis right now. I really gotta be like Olivia Pope. Like, come on, So and even like with the other one that we had, well, my particular scene was I was a teacher, a lawyer and a teacher. Look at all these
Killing
things.
it, by the
But
way.
what would you say?
I said you're killing it, by the way.
Thank you. I'm really trying. I'm trying. I think that is like one of the like the most uncomfortable things for me. Like it's uncomfortable, not in a bad way, but it's just like it's really pushing my like challenging my norm, because I am used to directing actors to perform what I wrote.
Mm,
And it's not even, necessarily that like if I wrote it, I'm directing material that I know. And so it's just like for me now to kind of like put on the character, I have to think about things like, do you know this character inside and out? And it's a good way to do, like, it's a good way to know the character. Like, for example, I started with the lawyer monologue. I was just like, how can I'm like, this lawyer probably has, I mean, like, you have to be empathetic, right? So like I'm just trying to figure out ways like, okay, maybe this lawyer has a child, or maybe like this lawyer has a nephew that died, or something. And so what I did, I think I mentioned it in class, I actually put a photo of me as a baby on my lock screen to kind of like, okay, I got to protect my inner child. Or like I wanted to, this might sound weird, but I wanted to put like a baby photo of like my father on my lock screen, because he didn't grow up with the father, and because like I know my dad should have been protected more. It's like, or like a little cousin or something. Like I just want to like put this on my lock screen just for this moment, like not all the time obviously, but just something that I can connect to where it's like, yeah, like this baby, this child really needs to be protected right now. So it's just like it's a whole new journey, like trying to become the character, and also like being present enough so that you can deliver that. But yeah, but no, it's like it's a whole journey, and I'm glad that um, it's something that you're pursuing also. So, um, Charles, I also know that you have Fashion Week, LA Fashion Week coming up on October 12th. Tell us more about it. Are you excited? How are you feeling?
I am overzealous. Honestly, this is going to be my first time walking in the fashion show.
Oh,
So I'm
cool.
about to get my American Next Talk model on. So hopefully I make everybody proud. But it's something that I'm extremely happy for, happy and blessed. I'm thankful. And I can't wait to see it come to fruition, see it happen. It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be a big event.
Mhm.
And it's gonna be, honestly, I think the biggest thing I've done so far in my modeling career. So that's gonna be the fun part about that. It's like I said, all this stuff is just pure blessing, and I can't do any of this, and I can't do anything without God. I always have to say thank
Amen.
you. I always have to say, give him the flowers that he deserves, because without him, I wouldn't be where I am now, and also it's all glory to the Most High. But I'm blessed, to say the least. That's how I feel every day. I wake up and I look at that flyer, or I look at the emails and stuff like that. And that's something that's like a motivator for me too, is on my down days when I think the world is crashing on top of me. I have to remember there's a lot of people who wish they were in my shoes, just like there's a lot of people's shoes who I wish I was in, or things could be worse. I get to wake up, I'm in the house. I get to wake up and I get to drive my car. I get to walk. I get to see. I get to feel. There's things that people don't get. And I have to always
Amen.
remind myself that it can be a lot worse. There's someone wishing they were in my shoes right now. There's someone wishing they had the amenities and the things that I have right now. So I have to be thankful for them. Even when I feel like I can't, I have to be thankful, because it's in one snap of a hand, all this can go away. So that's how I feel every single day when I'm waking up and looking at things like Fashion Week, looking at things like even just going to class. Like, there's a lot of people who wish they can afford to go to a class. So every single thing I'm doing right now with this career is just a blessing, and every single opportunity I get, whether it's big, small, well, to me, everything's big. I don't care if it's hey, I just need you to walk down the street. All right, bet I got you. It's every single thing to me is big, because God is building me to where I need to get, and I can't wait to glorify His name in that manner.
Amen. You're already doing great things, and I love that you are, constantly in a state of gratitude too, because it's like, you have to be thankful, for the little things. You like I literally, the first thing that I say when I wake up is I'm like, God, thank you, because like I woke up. I woke up, like, even if I had like a bad day yesterday, or if I went to sleep, worried about something, like I still woke up, I still, you know, that means that there's a purpose for me here. That means that there's a purpose to, like, my story isn't ending yet. Like, it's not over, there's still more. Like, I haven't met everybody that I'm gonna meet yet. I haven't encountered all the money I'm gonna encounter yet. I haven't, haven't even seen all the blessings that he has in store for me yet. So I love that, and I love your mindset. I love your attitude. So Charles, thank you so much. Where can people follow you?
You can follow me on Instagram. Hopefully, do not bang TikTok because my TikTok following is growing. Hey, I got a couple viral videos, so you can follow my Instagram, you can follow my TikTok. It's CJ with 3 E's and 2 underscores. And it's universal. My Twitter, my TikTok, everything's all the same. Yeah.
Gotcha. And I'll also include the link to like Fashion Week if it's still even any tickets available. Because when I checked, it was like 3 left. So I was like, okay, I
Hey,
really
they're
want to.
hot.
I was like, I want to go to this thing, but dang. So I'll still put it in there, and I'll put also your Instagram and everything in there so people can check you out. So Charles, thank you so much for coming on the show today. Really, really appreciate you taking the time out. You're doing great things. You are an inspiration to, I know, like the listeners, and also you're an inspiration to me. I thank you so much. Even though like we just met, but you're anybody doing phenomenal things like this, really inspires me and encourages me to keep going. So thank you guys for listening. And until next time, take control, take risk, and take care.